going to tell me in a minute. Recording pending. All right. So we are recording, folks. Everyone who's in this call will be recorded. So without further ado, I'm going to share the slideshow and get us on our way. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Backpacks to Briefcases, How to Excel in a Virtual Interview. Today is the 30th of March, 2021, and our presenter today is Professor Susan Lugli from the Business Department here at Middlesex Community College. Susan, thank you for being our presenter today.
You're welcome. Thanks for the introduction, Dr. Jones. So Backpack to Briefcases, How to Excel in a Virtual Interview. The first part we're going to talk about, know your online reputation before you interview. And this is very, very important. And the point is that are you a professional online? And because your online presence is a reflection of you, but also your resume and anything else you've posted online is also a reflection of you. And for better or worse, it's just the situation that we have right now. So you need to be sure it's better and not worse. So these are some key points about hiring and your online presence. Most companies consider your social media activity during the hiring process. And 33% won't consider an applicant without a social media presence, which means there's something, why don't they see anything there? 96% of recruiters use social media for the recruitment efforts. And most HR professionals have denied a job to candidates due to inappropriate content on social media. So it's important to have social media, but it's also important to have the right social media. So the key thing is you have to craft your online presence to be a professional representation of yourself. And so what does that mean? That you should have a LinkedIn professional profile. This is a site, if you haven't been there, where recruiters are looking for talent, and you post your resume and any of the things that you may be doing in your current work, and you connect to professional organizations. And you can showcase your skills and try and connect with others in your field. Facebook and Twitter have other professional sites, but LinkedIn is the best across all fields. And then in LinkedIn, you can connect with or join professional associations within your field and post on their websites directly, or you can also do it via LinkedIn. One of the things that you can do is you can also create your own website and become a voice in your field. For creative individuals, having your own website is you have to do it. It's just a necessity. Also, you really need a professional photo of yourself, and be sure to dress professionally and use that photo across all the platforms that you're using in social media and LinkedIn. That professional photo should follow you and be a part of your professional online presence. So there are things that you should definitely not have in your online presence. And the most important thing to do is Google yourself. It's impossible to delete everything that's been on social media, but you can make sure your social media accounts don't have the following: discriminating posts, anything regarding race, religion, gender, orientation, etc. Keep clear of that. Negative comments about a previous employer or coworker. This is very key, because if you start talking in your and you have negative comments, people will think, well, you might be a negative person. You clearly could have personal negative comments, but sharing them in social media is not the most appropriate thing. Think about what your grandmother would want to see, or somebody who you want to impress. And so inappropriate posts, photos, or videos really shouldn't be, even ones that you've connected to, should not be a part of your professional online preference in your social media accounts or anywhere. And any excessive alcohol or drug use postings on your social media is a complete negative. And so you really need to keep your personal life separate from your professional one. So students often kind of struggle with how to find the right job. And this next section is going to kind of talk about how you can use the internet and how to find the right job for you. So the most important thing is to understand your own skills. And when you create a list of your own skills, when you do your resume, then and in that resume, you really pick the skills and strengths that you have. Even if you've not worked before, you still have skills from education and possibly volunteering or being a part of a team. The closer you can match your skill match to the position and show the employer how you can add value, the better that your chances are of getting an interview. So job postings are key. Job postings show lots of information about the company. They detail the qualifications that they're looking for, usually under job title and qualifications. They usually talk about the description of the responsibilities and what's involved in the role, and often now how to apply, which 90% of the time is online. So just like the internet, a job description has keywords, and you need to understand these keywords. As you review each section of the job description, that the most important items are usually at the top of a job description. And these are the most essential skills that are usually performed in the job. You must have at least 3 or 4 of these skills. Employers use scanning software, so if you don't meet the requirements, no human will see your resume or cover letter. And that's especially true with larger companies. Smaller companies, you may get a smaller grouping of people there, but mostly if they're using scanning software and you don't match their keywords in experience or skills, no one will ever see your resume. So you have to look for compatibility. And you also have to think, is this something I would like to do? Is this something that you can do? So you have to look internally and ask yourself some of these questions. I mean, it may sound like you like the job, and this sounds like a really cool job, and I'd like it. But the question is can you do it? So if it says you need to be proficient in something, expect to use that a great deal of time. So if it says that you need to use Excel all the time, that's what you're going to be doing, sitting at a desk using Excel. Match your resume and cover letter to the job description using the language in the job description. That's what companies are looking for, to match your skills with what they're looking for. So a little more detail on job titles, qualifications, and responsibilities. So job titles can vary from different industries and fields. But the job title should give you clues about the experience required, responsibility involved, and sort of what the work that you'll be doing is. Assistant and manager are two different roles. Manager manages people or process. Assistants help that manager run process, usually. They don't usually have people reporting to them if you're an assistant. Unless you're assistant manager, then you would have maybe people reporting to you. Qualifications. These sometimes are called requirements or experience, but there really are the qualifications that you need to have for the job. And so that is what the employer is looking for. You may see an education requirement here, prior experience, accomplishments at other jobs, and both soft and hard skills. Ideally, you've got to match some of these in order to get your resume moved on. Responsibilities, and this is pretty key. This is what you're going to do in the job. And the goal here is to align your own experiences with the responsibilities. And so if you don't have a sense of what the list of responsibilities are, then the job's probably not a good fit for you. So, okay, so now you know all about the job descriptions and you've sent your resume in and you've actually got a call. So what do you do now? Well, you have to research a company before before you interview for them, because you need to know a fair amount about them. It's going to give, research will give you an edge in the interview because they know actually a lot about you because you've given them your resume and your cover letter. But you need to now take the time to understand them so you can better convey your skills and how you can help them grow their company or be a part of their team. So the key steps to research before you have an interview is to go through the company's website. Learn and know the mission or vision statement. Follow the company's social media, know the company's history, and often there's a newsworthy project that they're working on in that company, and that's really important to know. The company's mission really does go back to how a company is organized, so that's really important. So I just want to remember that companies are founded on a mission, and if you can align yourself with that mission, then you'll have a better understanding of the company. So the company's website, definitely go to the website, look at the top bar, and it'll tell you details on the company, what their main goals and initiatives are. A viewer can learn about the company's organizational structure often in that. There's news updates, and click on that news updates because they're going to tell you about the projects they're working on. And then all companies have social media. Make sure you know going in what their social media looks like and some of the comments that have been posted on it. And possibly link to that company's social media site if you can. The company's history is very important because that goes back to knowing their company. It's almost like the website is almost like the company's resume for you to review. The mission statement. So again, I talked about the importance of the mission statement. Mission statements articulate their purpose, values, and shared goals. And one of the big pieces when a company starts, they form a mission statement with employees in mind. So you have to connect how you connect to the mission statement in order to kind of have the people interviewing you view you as a part of their organization from the moment you step in the room and they ask you questions. So social media outlets are really handled by the company, and they're conveying information that not only they want their customers to know, but their suppliers and anyone who's interested in their company. It's really a very great place to understand the culture of a company. You can learn about their culture and environment. They also have the accomplishments. Who's posting? They pull out people who are very successful. You might even see some of the people who are interviewing you in a social media feed. And that brings you a connection that you can talk about in your interview. The About Us in the career section under the history and news section of a company really kind of gives you a history of where they've been, where they're going, and how you can kind of look at some of the other positions, especially in the career section. Who else are they hiring for? You can search news outlets for company information and sponsorships. You can read through potentially negative news, right, as mergers and buyouts or scandals, and that's important too, because if there's a buyout happening or a recent layoff or some of these things, that's just more information for you to learn a little bit more about the company that you may want to ask them about. So every company's website provides information about their organization history and the plans for the future. The career section is a great section for you to align and see what other people in the company do and what other responsibilities, because those job descriptions are listed there on the career website section. So you've gotten the interview, you've done your research, and you're ready to go into your virtual interview. Much like I am right here. You're going to have to interact in the virtual interview. companies, usually the first interview is over the phone, but because now we have a virtual environment, sometimes the first interview is now going to be virtual, even when we go back from COVID. So virtual interviews have always existed. It's a way to be able to screen. Telephone interviews and virtual are ways to screen a lot of candidates. And so they can be technically prohibitive for some cases, so you need to know that your technology works. But virtual interviews really allow you and the employer to get to know each other in a virtual environment. And so you prepare the same way for a virtual interview that you would for an in-person video, but there are a few differences. So technology is key. You need to ensure that you have a good working camera and a microphone with your computer. This is really essential. And if you don't, the school has resources for you that you could come and use the resources at MXCC. So it's really important to download and test any software necessary to connect via the internet with the organization prior to your interview. They're going to send you a link. You should find out what that link is, either Zoom or Teams, and try and see if you can use that on your own computer. 10 to 15 minutes before the schedule of the interview, check your internet connection and verify the call-in number for a telephone and or an inline interview. Sign in early to be just like you would go to an interview early, never be late. Sign in early and be ready to connect as soon as they start the meeting. More than likely, they have a series of interviews set up and you're going to be waiting for that. So they may be late. It's better that they're late than you be late, because if you're not there, they may never open that window again for you. So be sure that sound and video are turned on, and be sure that any resources that you're going to share with them during the interview are easily accessible. The less fiddling around you need to do, the easier it is and more confident you will feel when you start to talk on your site. And I would say run through your interview possibly with someone else that you know to help you prepare for the interview. You don't want the technology to be a barrier to your success. Don't have any other tabs or files open during the interview in case you may have to share your screen, and have a tasteful or plain desktop image or picture if you don't have a visual of yourself. So prepare your wardrobe as if you were in an in-person interview. And I can tell you this is very important to wear professional clothes, use a blazer or jacket, a press shirt, conservative jewelry and or makeup, and don't, it's just not dressing professionally to be shown that way. When you dress up professionally, you feel professional. And that's why don't just dress professionally above the waist. Should there be a technical issue or another reason that causes you to stand up, be sure that you're dressed appropriately. Pajamas, cutoff shorts, sweatpants are not considered interview worthy. And I can tell you this, when you're in sweatpants on the bottom and versus a nice suit when you're sitting there, you actually feel and portray yourself as much more professional. And I've done many, many interviews, and I've actually had salespeople who were in pajamas, but I could see the top, and I would say to them, "Are you in your pajama bottoms?" And they would laugh and say, "Yes." And I'm like, "It's 11 o'clock. You need to go out on the road and get dressed." So it's definitely, you can see it. If you're a manager and you know what you're looking for, you can see it. So you really have to, preparation is everything when it comes to job interviewing and actually job seeking. You have to think about what are the questions that they may ask and how you can best respond to the questions. So be prepared to identify and describe why your background and experiences make you the right choice to fill this particular job position. It's very important that you have a success story going in. It gives you a sense of, hey, I'm a successful person. This is how I portray, this is how I've been successful before, and this is how I can be successful in your organization. So at the same time, you need to prepare several questions for the interviewer. And they should never be about the company benefits and how much vacation time you're going to get, because that'll come later when you actually get the job. Really, this is all about the company and the position and what the position entails and what the company is like. So have all the necessary documents available for your resume and cover letter to refer to, but also have the job description in front of you so that you can ask questions about the job description and the job that you would be doing. To show that you're interested in the job that you would be doing is the most important thing, and to have a lot of energy around being excited about doing that type of job at this company. So rehearse either by yourself or better yet with someone else. I can't tell you enough. The more you rehearse, the more you prepare for your interview, the better prepared you are, the more successful you will be. So you have to limit distractions. When you're having the interview, this is a very key thing when you're entering virtually. So you have to think about the lighting, the background, and trying to set up the technology to look professional. It goes back to being a professional. Personal photos, decorations should be at a minimum. Eliminate as much noise as possible, such as lawn mowers, which sometimes is not an easy thing, but pets, people, try and keep it quiet. Try and find a quiet place. Don't start a load of laundry. Just sit and try and be at a desk, look professional. And if you share the space with others, make sure they're aware of the interview and they're able to provide you with the necessary privacy. You don't want people walking behind you. So since you're not able to have the traditional greeting in an in-person interview, often with a handshake, and even now in the future, you may not have to have it, you have to sort of create strategies to develop a relationship with the people who are interviewing with you. So you have to think about your posture and sit up straight. There's an excellent video on your body language and how you should interview on YouTube. It's one of the most watched videos out there on career prep, but also how you carry yourself. Ensure you're centered in the camera and present a positive image. Smile and greet the employer. Establish eye contact, even that you're meeting with them virtually. Know where your camera is. Try to enhance the sense of connection by finding common interests, talking about the position, asking them what they do for work and what they like about the company and what they like about their job. Present a sense of confidence and demonstrate that you have the abilities needed to be successful in the position, that you're engaged. Don't just answer the questions that are being asked. Provide examples from past performance, and definitely have a success story about how you can be successful for them. Don't be too casual, right, or too comfortable calling them by their first names unless they've told you to. But make sure it's don't be too laid back because you're at home. You're on an interview. You're trying to be professional. So be the 3 Ps: professional, personable, and passionate about the position. So it's key to say thank you, either via an email or send a thank you note, a written note, within 24 hours of the interview. In that thank you note, re-express your interest in the position and assure that you're confident of your abilities to be successful in the position. Again, if you've done your interview right, they already see you in that position and what you could do by adding value to them. Utilize the opportunity to clarify any points that may have been a little glitch in your interview response. And you must do that professionally. If you think you need to do so, this may be your only opportunity. It would be to reiterate how you feel that you would be in the position. mention that you can provide any additional information or schedule a follow-up appointment for them to interview you again. And most importantly, at the end, thank them for their time and consideration. Proofread your thank you note. Thanking them for their time and their consideration is really key. You know, they have to fill this position. They're seeing other people and they're taking a lot of time. They have to go back and do their work. And often they're doing it later at night because they have so many people that they have to interview. So these follow-up that you should be doing are very important. So we've given you some resources here, and there are more resources that are listed in the PowerPoint that will give you more in-depth to the steps that help give this presentation. I urge you to reach out to the career development team to ask any questions, and I don't know if you have any questions now. You can share it in the chat.
Okay. All right, so it looks as though I'll stop sharing my screen. And we do not have any questions in the chat. So thank you, Professor Lugli, for your presentation today. This is insanely important in today's post-COVID world. Thank you to those who are in attendance and to those who will watch out of attendance after we post the recording. Have a great day, everyone.
Take care.